What is up, YouTube? It is your boy MD Kage back with another video. I've been home for a little bit, just getting back from seeing the Fantastic Four First Steps. This is going to be my non-spoiler review of this film. Now that it's been some time, I've been able to digest it. I'm going to give my thoughts on the film. First things first, going into this movie, I did not have any expectations. Really, honestly, I didn't really expect much, if anything at all, from this movie. So you have to take that with a grain of salt. But before I get into that, let me just give you guys a brief synopsis of the film. When the beginning of this film, it takes place on a different Earth, apart from the MCU's 616 Earth. It takes place in 828, and it's in 1960s, very retro, futuristic. And in this iteration of the Fantastic Four, making their first entry into the MCU, the Fantastic Four, with Reed and Sue Richards or Sue Storm, Johnny and Ben Grimm. It's very much not an origin story. They're very well known, very renowned, loved, and praised and celebrated in this world. They're scientists. Everyone knows who they are. So they're very much established. It's not an origin story. They're also the Earth's protectors. But they find themselves in a situation where they're confronted with a very dangerous cosmic threat. That threat being, yes, Galactus, as you see in the trailers, and who's assisted by his Dominion, or right hand, and Silver Surfer, who goes around to look for different planets for him to consume and destroy. So essentially, they're spending the entirety of the film trying to figure out, okay, how do we save our world and defeat this grave threat? So that's pretty much the overall gist of the film. So what did I think? Uh, I have to be honest. This movie was better than I thought it was going to be. I'm not gonna lie. I think uh, uh, just to kind of give you some things that I liked. I really dug the 1960s, that future retro feel. I think that this movie, I can easily say it. I'm just gonna say it. Definitely, is definitely the best Fantastic Four film to date. I don't think there's any debate in that. I think as a pure film, it's the best one. I actually think one of the things that I loved about this film, that is, I loved the family dynamic of this film. There's definitely chemistry throughout the entire cast. I think that you know just to if we start from, I'd say, Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, I think actually did a very good job as Reed Richards. I think one of the things that I liked about what he brought to the character is, I love the fact that he really did a good job as far as showing how, him being the brilliant scientist that he is. I think he did a good job of showing how much of a while it's also his a blessing to him, it's also his biggest curse, because throughout the film, he's faced with various problems, and I think he wears his intelligence on his sleeve. And when he's in situations where he doesn't, he's trying to, when he's trying to solve a problem, and his solution doesn't come to fruition or doesn't work out the way that he does really a good job of showing his vulnerability, and showing when his brilliance doesn't is not able to solve the problem, he struggles. And I think he did a really good job with that. I like them showing while highlighting his intelligence, and showing his IQ and his mind. I think it showed his there's limits that it showed his humanity. It showed that while he is highly intelligent, he's a brilliant mind. He's human. I think he did a really good job at that. Also, I think Johnny Storm. I think he's definitely different from the previous iteration, especially like the Chris Evans iteration. Just remember his name, Joseph Quinn. I think. I actually think he actually did a good job. I think he brought something different to the character where he's while he's not that lady loving. Well, he is a he says well they claims he's a lady lover, but he brought something different to the character. He I think he did a really good job as far as yes he's a hothead. Yes he still does that comic relief. He's quippy. No question about that. He's still very much that. But I think he did what I liked about it is they in this iteration I like that they showed that he has some intelligence to him, that he's not just a pure hothead or just there to just make to say funny things. He's actually has he's very much shows his intelligence in this movie, and he shows his ability and his skill set in certain areas. I think that that was really good. I like seeing that dynamic. Uh, One of my favorite characters, maybe my favorite character, is I think Ben Grimm. I love Ben Grimm in this movie. I think what sets him apart from Michael Chiklis is he. I think he does a really good job as far as yes, he's this big, uh, gigantic rock figure. But one of the things I liked about him is I think he's definitely the heart of the team. I think that one of he I love he is probably has out of everybody, I would say he probably has the most humanity out of everybody because as far as how he acts, he's very much normal. Like he's not a. That's what I liked about it. He's like he's yes he's this rock like figure, but he's just kind of a regular Joe, but like in a good way. Like he's very he's very likable. I thought he did a really good job. Um, I thought I just he thought he was great with that. So let me also get to Vanessa Kirby now. Um, I was pleasantly surprised. I think that she actually did a good job. I'll admit, because I remember reading, that entertainment variety article that came out where it was doing the interviews and she was talking about, her character not being a sweet, goody mother, goody two shoe mother, stuff like that. And I have to say, reading that article and seeing the film, I feel like it's very misleading because I feel like she did a really good job um, as far as you know she I think especially which it's not really a spoiler because in the in the trailers Reed and Sue they conceive a child named Franklin. I think she did a really good job as far as especially when it came to her motherly aspect of them being presented with this um challenge, not just with Galactus but also the challenge as it comes with their newborn child. I think she did a really job of just her the struggle that she had with the problem that they were facing. And I think she really did a good job with that. But also, I think that the thing that I liked that everybody had chemistry. There, this movie does a really good job with the family dynamic. This doesn't feel like we see that all the time, like with comic book films, family dynamic, like but to use an example, you see with like Guardians of the Galaxy, there's this their dynamic is more a dysfunctional family dynamic. And but this movie has a more organic, more realistic, I think, family dynamic as far as the way that they act around each other, the relationships, that dynamic. I think Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm's dynamic, that them kind of button heads yet being bros at the same time. I like that. I think that that was really good. But I think that one of the things I liked about it was that Vanessa Kirby's iteration was that she wasn't like she kind of was a nice balance of yeah she has a nice balance of girl boss as well as sweet caring mother. She had that kind of nice balanced and blend. It wasn't too much of one side, too much of the other side. I think she was a nice blend, and I think I think everybody really kind of did their characters justice. I think that was pretty good. Visually, I think this movie was is a very captivating color eye color popping movie. I think the visuals are good, great. I don't Now would I say it's better than Superman? That's debatable, but I think as far as like the color schemes and it sticks out on its own. Like it this movie really sticks out on its own as far as the the visuals, the colors. It really stands out on its own. It feels like its own movie. And you know, it's that I think that really sticks out. I love the fact that this movie, it's not a even though it's in the MCU, it's very much its own story. It's not one of those where you have to watch, oh, we got to watch this film or this film to understand that. It's not that. I think this movie does a good job. It's its own story. You can go in completely oblivious, have no clue about anything of the past MCU or previous things. It's its own story. I think that I really liked about it. I think also this movie, I would can honestly say this is probably the most science fiction film in the MCU to date. This Another reason why I think this movie feels kind of different from any previous MCU film is this movie is loaded with science fiction. It's very much about like time and space. Science. It's very much science and space heavy. I think, which is a really good job. I think, which also I think adds to Pedro Pascal's performance because I think he did a good job as far as like he's showcasing his intelligence as far as like he using his he's would speak in that very talking about just like whether it's like equations or coding or all that kind of stuff. How intelligent brainiacs they talk. He had like his own language. I think he did a good job as far as like he's so wrapped in his own mind, and I think he did a really good job of like showing just how his his brain power and his intelligence and his mind, how it while it's a a blessing, it's also his curse because it's like his mind never stops, and I think he really did a good job with that. Also, uh, another thing that I did like about this movie, as far as the cast, it's not an overcrowded movie. Like this, it's not a situation where there's too many characters. It's very much the Fantastic Four. It's Galactus, and it's uh, Silver Surfer. So let me talk about Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer. Um, my honest opinion, I think that, in my opinion, she was all right. I didn't really feel like much as far as her performance wise. I feel like she was okay. I think she was all right, but um, uh, as far as like the point, I didn't really get a much of a feel, or I didn't get really any kind of feeling from. But I mean, she wasn't like terrible, but I mean, she was just like she was just okay in my opinion. But I will say there's a particular scene in this film that I will say was probably the best scene that involved her character. I mean, I think her name is Julia Garner. I think that's her name. I think she had a scene. There's a scene in there that I think was probably one of the best as far as her character goes, as far as getting to know her character a little bit more. I think that was probably a good scene, but overall, I think that she did okay. But she didn't really move the needle for me either kind of way. I didn't really feel like, oh my gosh, she was amazing. But she was okay. Now, let me get to the giant cosmic being in the room that is Galactus. Um, I will say it was really refreshing to see a comic accurate Galactus. Because this seeing this Galactus, it took the bad taste out of my mouth. That is the 2007 Fantastic Four film, Rise of the Silver Surfer. That seeing remember seeing that movie and seeing Galactus as a big old cloud, dust. Oh my lord! But this movie was a we got a he was a comic book accurate Galactus, which was refreshing to see. Like, and what I liked about it was he was the one thing I did like about this movie is when, as far as Galactus is concerned, you watch this movie, you don't know how it's gonna play out. You don't have this feeling of, oh, they're probably just gonna defeat him, and like there are true stakes in this movie. Like the threat that he presents in this movie, you're literally wondering, okay, are they gonna are they gonna be able to save the planet from him? Like there was a part in this movie where I'm sitting there thinking, are they gonna are they gonna be able to find a way to survive Galactus? Are they going to be able to defeat him? Or is he going to destroy their planet? Like there was definitely that concern of, I'm thinking there's actual stakes in this movie, and I think that's another thing that I enjoyed about the movies, that because you don't really see that much. But yes, I think as I said, visuals were great. I think this movie, while I won't say that, oh my god, I love this movie, I will say I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. Because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really have any expectations for this movie, but overall, I think that this movie um, is, I would say it's one of um DMCU's one of their most unique. I don't know if I'd say it's their most unique film, because you can make the argument that goes to Eternals, but I think as far as a movie sticking out on its own, as far as having its own unique feel, I think Fantastic Four film does that, accomplishes that goal. I think uh, it is, I will say, it is a breath of fresh air. I'm not gonna say, oh my god, this movie's a masterpiece, oh my god, this is amazing. I'm at a loss for words. No, I like this movie, I enjoyed it. It's not, I would say it's really on par as far as my enjoyment level as far as Superman goes. I think it's on par with that, because I do see a lot of similarities with this movie as Superman, as far as the lighthearted tone. I think they get the essence of the characters for the most part down packed. Yes, there's some changes as far as, like, Johnny Storm's character. I think that is you know, as far as that goes, there is some is, but I still feel like he still kind of captured that hothead element, but I think they added a little bit more to his character with his intelligence and then be able to figure things out and do different things. Um, while I still prefer the Chris Evans iteration, I still think he did a good job with what he was given, and they gave him a little bit more to do. I like the fact that he wasn't. Yes, he's a hothead, but he's not just a hothead. He actually has more to him to do in this film, which I do appreciate. Overall, I definitely enjoyed this movie. It's definitely, it has me looking forward to next year with Avengers Doomsday, because considering it makes me that much more excited to see what's going to happen. Definitely stay. There's two post credit scenes, but not really to spoil. But you don't really need to stay for the second one. But the first one you see is the one you need to stay for. It's kind of a mid credit scene. So it's definitely worth staying for. Stick around for that. But yeah, overall, I did enjoy this movie better than I thought I was. It definitely, it is a breath of fresh air. I will say that. But as far as a letter grade, if I had to give this movie a letter grade, I'm gonna say it's on that level of Superman. So I'm gonna give it a B plus. I give it a B plus. I did enjoy this movie. And so yep, that's pretty much my review. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe to watch my other content. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Deuces.